good to see you. You get fairy dust, I get fairy dust, Amelie gets fairy dust. And I was asked on TikTok, where could I find information about your story, your journey, especially specifically regarding my eating disorder? So that's what this is. We're going to be talking I'm going to be talking about my history, my experience, my how the progress of my eating disorder. And from there, I have 2 different books that I'm interested in talking about. So that's going to be one of the things that we talk about for a while on YouTube. So I'll have my Codependency No More videos, and then I will have a series on my eating disorder and eating disorder recovery. Okay, let's get started. So my joke is that I came out of the womb wanting to know where the fuck the food was. And because it just feels like so ancient to me. Like there is no Elizabeth without an eating disorder. There just isn't. I came out just wanting to eat. There's never enough food. Another one of my jokes is that my favorite food is more. And it's just never felt enough, ever. So I first became aware of the food stuff and that I was different because I was gaining weight. But it wasn't quite a shock because my mother was overweight. And so it just felt like this is the way I was supposed to be, It never felt like, and I did not tie the consequences of the food to my body at all, at all, until I was in the 6th grade. But before that, I want to say I have a very clear, it's not clear, but just this part of it is clear. Everything else is fuzzy, but I remember on Saturday mornings watching cartoons and eating bread and with sugar on it. Like just white bread with sugar on it. And if I remember it, that means it was fucking important to me. So the 6th grade is when that I truly notice, and even in pictures, that's kind of, I'm sure 4th grade probably is when I started like being a little bit heavier than other kids. But 6th grade, I was full blown overweight, and it came to pass because I needed a uniform and for school. And I went to Catholic school for a year, and we were so poor they gave us all that shit for free. But I think one of my family members worked there or something. But anyway, but that was my first diet. That's my first official diet, and it started off with these little. I'm an old bitch, so like maybe one of you guys can remember, but there were these. It was called AIDS, unfortunately named diet somethings, pills or whatever, chocolates, and they were these little rectangles, and you would take them. I felt no, didn't help at all. Probably gained more weight because I was eating those things, but and then my grandmother, she was a alcoholic, but she was very thin and very elegant lady, and she would talk to me about eating less, and that kind of conversation started, and also like only eat like meat and stuff, and nothing, no desserts, no bread or anything like that, but that didn't hold either. And again, it just felt like it was, this is how, just like, this is my skin color, this is the way my arm bends, like this is also like my food issues. So again, always hungry. I will say that I may have had other dreams, like I wanted to be a singer. P.S. I cannot sing. I wanted to be an actress. I can act a little bit. A dancer. I can dance a little bit. And thought about being a marine biologist, which I found out from my friend that he, growing up in Florida, it's very common for a lot of us kids to think that we were going to be marine biologists. But mostly, my dream was to be able to go to McDonald's by myself, go through the drive-through, and order 10 Big Macs and 10 large fries and 10 large Cokes. That was my true aspiration. That was my true, and it came true. Not necessarily 10 Big Macs, 10 large fries, 10 large Cokes, but the equivalent of that. So that was me. And I hated myself. I had no self-esteem, painfully shy. So, and we moved a ton, which was not great for me. And we moved, so painfully shy, overweight, embarrassed about that, never talks, always afraid. And you can see how over time, this was my experience, my whole life. It changed a little bit in high school, only because I joined the drama club. And I actually did start taking dance classes and was kind of good at it. So the teacher befriended me and, bought my costumes for me and whatever. So there was a little bit of that did happen, which was awesome, but it was still devastating. I would keep a journal for a lot of my life. No, for when I was a teenager, I was gifted a journal, and that's my first experience of journaling. But it was like Bridget Jones' Diary, which I always had my weight at the top right. And I don't remember, I don't even know if we had a scale, but I know that I got up to, because it's written down in this journal, that's the only way I know, like 175, and I'm 5'2". So that was in my high school, that was in my senior year. So I was 175 pounds in my senior year of high school. So, like none of that shit went well for me. Like no proms, no nothing, no friends. Again, except for a few like drama nerds that I got connected with. Cause like I said, I was kind of good at it. And so I and the teacher liked me. So that was awesome. And just cause when you're in a play with people, that you bond with them. So that was a true gift for me. Because otherwise it would have been like zero friends. So just food was my refuge. I hated school. It was weird because I was an A student and I was good at school and teachers loved me. But I was, it makes me sad a little bit, but I was always scared, always full of dread, always. And food was the only escape. Food was the only escape. And at all of that time, it was overeating. So overeating, now we would call it binge eating disorder. And food in my family, it wasn't just me that it was like, oh, good, I'm finally eating. But it was kind of my whole family. My sister, not so much, because she didn't really have that issue that I have, just never being satiated. She would save her food, which was very confusing to me. And she wouldn't finish her food, which was also extremely confusing to me. Could not relate on any level, like at all. But that was kind of the culture of our family, like food, and it was, my mom didn't cook. She was a single mom and she cooked. She worked all the time. Like she was working. Latchkey kid. I just always came home there was no one home. Me and my sister, there was no one home because my mom was working. And home all summer. Like, so it was the TV and food, TV and food, TV and food. And it was like, when I got home, I was just like, oh, like, thank God. Like, I survived another day. And my mom, we were poor and it wasn't fun for her either. And so, she would, it would be like a pinnacle. We ate out a ton. So we ate out a ton. There was not that much cooking at all at our house. If there was, it was like steak and baked potatoes, or like just a few meals, maybe tacos, maybe tuna fish casserole. But it was always like, going out was like, oh, thank God. And it was great. And it was so good. I do have another memory of a McDonald's. Would have been very, very early, and just remember being so relieved to be there. Don't remember anything else, but I do remember the McDonald's. And that will be a theme for me my entire life, is that when you just hold out and can't wait till your next meal, like you can't wait until, like I'm in recovery right now. I eat off of a food plan, which means I know what I'm going to have for lunch and I know what I'm going to have for dinner. So I know, and that quiets my mind. But I am always waiting for the next meal. Still, I have that feeling. I have anxiety that I'm not eating right now, like a low level anxiety. And so this desire for food, this longing for food, this can't wait, like, food saved me, like it was saving me. And so but that is very intertwined with me not having memories. If you're always thinking about food, you're never present, so you're not really making memories. And, also shit went down in my family. And alcoholics like fill up my family tree, and all kind of shit. And so another thing is that I always swore that I would never be an alcoholic. I am never going to be an alcoholic. Turns out I'm just like an alcoholic with food. We don't have the same consequences. I can drive with 3 boxes of Krispy Kremes, which I have done. True story. Many times, not just 1 or 2 times, but many times. You heard me, 3 dozen, and a couple of chocolate milks. I would not get arrested for that. I would not get a DUI for that. So definitely, certainly different consequences, but the mind, the addiction in the mind, just feeling like I needed it. And also with my, I'm not living fully. And so when you don't live fully, and I'm also a full-blown codependent. So, it just wasn't going well for me. It just wasn't going well. But food was there. Like food was there. And I don't know. I mean, probably would have found another addiction or something else, but food was the thing that kept me going. Food, if I could always look forward to it, I was going to be okay. So my first diets, that's when the diet started in 6th grade. And so it was just on from there. So for the rest of my life, I was on a diet, or breaking that diet, on that diet or breaking that diet. And so, and this is why I say that if I can heal, you can heal. Like, not even, I know people say that, but I'm telling you, I truly did not think that there was hope for me, at all. Like, I just could not be another way. A couple of things were making it come to a critical place, which was my weight. It was going to keep going up, There's no way that it could not. And I have 2 children, and I had my daughter when I was 25 and my son when I was 26. And with each of those pregnancies, I got over 200 pounds, which I will go into more detail about those experiences later. But now you have a feel of, this was me. I just wanted to eat. There's no, and I was trapped. I could not do it, So, that's me from 0 to 18, 19, something like that. And just feeling like I was supposed to be fat, and that was just the way it was, and not really considering what was going in was making me fat. I was just thinking I was fat. And at some point, 18, 19, 20, somewhere around there, probably 19, I would say, or maybe 18, doesn't matter. No, that's not right. There's an order to this shit. So, when I started working with someone who said that I was pretty, and I would be prettier if I lost weight, and that he bet me, like he said, I will buy you a new dress if you lose 10 pounds. And so, and I did, and I was shocked because I didn't think I was capable of it. And so that was my first time with a diet that worked. And I also, at that point, started running. So, and then in that time, I was still living at home, and I turned the page, which, was going through a magazine or something, and I turned the page, and there's this girl, this young, beautiful girl. She was brunette, and she was beautiful, and she looked normal, and she was smiling so big, and it just said like a treatment center for bulimia. I'm just like, what? And I'm like, and I remember going to my mom, and I said, I think I'm this. I think I'm this. And she said, I was being dramatic. So that's my first, and that's the first, when I was started that diet, that I could lose weight, and then, purging started right after that. So that's my first understanding that bulimia is a thing. And there wasn't really an acknowledgement that overeating was a thing. Well, that's not true. The 12 steps existed, but I didn't have any connection or knowledge about it. There was no internet. So that's that. So that's how it was for me, like between ages 0 out of the womb, like looking for the food, and just the beginnings of me losing weight, starving myself, and me starting to purge. Okay, so that's the first story. To be continued. Love you. Bye.